Welcome to Live Podcast. As we journey through the Bible, we are officially starting yet another book, and that is the Book of Deuteronomy. The Book of Deuteronomy is the fifth book of the Bible. What is the purpose of writing the Book of Deuteronomy? To remind the people of what God had done and encourage them to rededicate their lives to Him. Remember that the previous generation all died in the desert, and now here is a new generation who need to know God. The author is Moses, except for the final summary of chapter 34, which was probably written by Joshua after the death of Moses. The original audience is Israel, the new generation entering the promised land. When was the book of Deuteronomy written? It was written about 1407 or 1406 BC. What is the setting in the book of Deuteronomy? The east side of the Jordan River in the view of Canaan. What is the key verse in the book of Deuteronomy? It is Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 9, and it says, "Understand therefore that the Lord your God is indeed God. He is the faithful God who keeps his covenant for 1,000 generations and lavishes his unfailing love on those who love him and obey his commands." The blueprint. What is the blueprint in the book of Deuteronomy? Number one, what has God done for us? And it's divided into three main addresses. And the first address is Moses' first address, and that is from chapter 1, verse 1, all through to chapter 4, verse 43. Moses revealed the mighty acts of God for the nation of Israel from chapter 1 all through chapter 4. Remembering what God has done in the past for us gives us hope for our future. The next blueprint in the book of Deuteronomy talks about principles for godly living, and that is Moses' second address from chapter 4 verse 44 all through chapter 29 verse 1. Here, under the principles for godly living, we get to see the 10 commandments, to love the Lord your God, laws for proper worship, laws for ruling the nation, laws for human relationships, consequences of obedience and disobedience. Here we will see that obeying God's laws brought blessings to the Israelites, and disobeying them brought misfortune. We learn that we should always obey God at all times. And then the blueprint number 3, we will see a call for commitment to God, and this will be Moses' third address. This is going to be chapter 29 verse 2 all through chapter 30 verse 20. Moses called the people to commit to God holy and true. We should do the same, commit and love God with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength. And then the final blueprint number 4, the change in leadership, Moses' last days. That is from chapter 31 verse 1 all through chapter 34 verse 12. Moses made serious mistakes as a leader. However, he had lived uprightly and carried out God's commands. Moses died with integrity. He is also mentioned in the New Testament at the transfiguration of Jesus. We can learn from Moses. Even when we make mistakes, it should not stop us to live lives of integrity and godly commitment to our Father in heaven. And then we're going to see 5 mega themes in the book of Deuteronomy. Theme number 1 is a theme of history. Moses revealed God's mighty hand upon the nation of Israel by revealing to this new generation was reminding them of God's faithfulness. We understand God more when we get to know who He is, what He stands for, and we can avoid making similar mistakes. Theme number 2. This is a theme of laws. God revealed His laws to the people, the new generation that was about to enter the promised land. We should not take God's laws and truths for granted. Each generation and each person must respond to God's call for us to be obedient to Him. Then theme number 3, the theme of love. God's faithful and patient love with His people is portrayed more than punishment. God shows His love by being faithful and keeping His promises. Because God is love, It forms the foundation of our trust with Him. His love remains the same from generation to generation. And then we also see theme number 4, choices. God reminded the people that in order to ratify, that is, approve, His covenant, they had to choose the path of obedience. Obedience would bring benefits to their lives, and rebellion would bring severe calamity. We learn that we have a choice to follow God or not. Our choices will make a big difference. And then we're going to see theme number 5, and that is a theme of teaching. God commanded the Israelites to teach their children His ways. They were to make sure that their children understood God's principles and passed them on to the next generation. We too need to do the same. Teach our children about God so that they can know Him, have a relationship with Him, and when we will be long gone, they too will teach their children about God. And this culture continues generation after generation. The Book of Deuteronomy repeats much of the history and the laws contained in the 3 foregoing books, that is Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers. Moses delivered all of God's laws, instructions to Israel before his death, verbally and written. All the men of the previous generation to which the law was first given were all dead, and now their children were the new generation. We learn that the wonderful love of God to His church is set forth in this book, how He ever preserved His church for His own mercy's sake, and would still have His name called upon men among them. That was an introduction on the Book of Deuteronomy, and I will see you again tomorrow as we tackle it one chapter a day. God bless you.